Hello everyone, my name is Cameron, welcome back to the channel, and today we are going to be talking about Dungeons and Dragons. Now, if you guys do not know what Dungeons and Dragons is, it is one, where have you been living, under a rock? And number two, Dungeons and Dragons is a tabletop RPG. It has been around for a very, very long time, and I've always wanted to get into it, and for a bit I did get into it a bit, and I have played before, but I have not played in a while. So I kind of want to go over some things, because obviously if you guys have watched this channel, if you guys are on this channel, you know, one, I'm a nerd, like down to the core. I'm a fucking nerd at times, and I'm a geek, and I love RPGs especially is the second thing you guys probably know about me. I started the gaming content, like the actual good gaming content on this channel, with Skyrim. I did a playthrough of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim Special Edition, which was really fun, and I really, really enjoyed it. And I've always loved RPGs, and I always really wanted to get into D&D when I was younger. But because of many different reasons, I could not. One of those reasons being I was poor. And D&D does take a lot of money, and for specific things. There's a lot of things you do end up needing to get for D&D that you don't really need at the start, but as you go on, as you're going to play more, it's a good thing to have some of those things as you get further into it. And this chair is really low to the ground. I hate it. So you definitely really do want to get more of the stuff for D&D as you go on, especially if you're going to be a DM or GM, Game Master, or Dungeon Master. And I want to talk a little bit about where my first D&D experience was, and then where it's going now. So I guess if you really want to look at my first real experiences with D&D, it was watching Harmon Quest and videos by Puffin Forest. Harmon Quest is a D&D game made by Dan Harmon, as well as some friends of his, and their game master Spencer Crittenden, which is fantastic. If you've not watched Harmon Quest, I highly suggest you get Verve and you go watch it. I still have to finish the most recent season. I haven't actually caught up on it. I kind of don't have Verve, VRV, Verve, whatever you want to call it right now. So I do need to kind of get that back so I can finish Harmon Quest, because it's very good. And as of right now, who knows if there's going to be another season. So it kind of sucks. It's kind of up in the air if there's going to be a fourth season or not, which is sad, because honestly, Harmon Quest is amazing. So I really love it. And then Puffin Forest is a YouTuber who does animated D&D stories, which is what I also really, really loved watching and really enjoyed. It's really gotten me more into the game and more excited to play D&D. But yeah, Harmon Quest was my first one, and if you don't know how Harmon Quest works, basically they're at a table with a live studio audience, and then the adventures are animated. Occasionally it does break out to the actual people playing the characters. They always have a celebrity guest every week. It's really fun, and I really, really do enjoy it. I highly recommend both Harmon Quest and Puffin Forest on YouTube. I also highly recommend Critical Role by Matt Mercer and so many other talented voice actors. I've not actually watched Critical Role, because both times I've gone to watch it, they've been hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of episodes in, and they're like 3 to 5 hour sessions, and I'm just like, I'm not going to spend my time watching these when they're so far into it. They have actually, Critical Role has a new miniature adventure coming up very soon that's actually not DM'd by Matt. He gets to actually play as a player for once, which is, honestly, I'm very excited to watch it and actually get into Critical Role finally. It's not the be all end all. I do highly recommend Critical Role. There's a lot of talented voice actors in there, and yeah, D&D at the end of it is a role playing game. So watching people who are professionals at doing voices, yeah, kind of fucking helps. But I'm very excited to kind of get into D&D a little bit more. So let's talk about my very first experience with D&D outside of watching videos. About sometime in 2019, I want to say I think it was winter of 2019. It might have been early 2019, like January, February-ish. I can't remember exactly when. But Jesse and I went and played. He had friends who played D&D, and he said, "Hey, do you want to go play D&D with me and my friends?" I was like, "Yeah, sure. Sounds like fun." You know, I've been wanting to get into it for a while and actually go find somebody to play with. And I had friends who played it in high school, but at the time, I wasn't really into it. Like, I had known about it, and I kind of liked the idea of it, but I never really got into it. And I always wanted to play. I said, "Hey, if you guys ever need a person, I'm willing to learn," you know what I mean? Because I really wanted to play. And sadly, my friend who was actually DMing that game, like when was it, about 2 years ago or so now, or 3 years ago. He actually sadly passed away. Oh yeah, that was 3 years ago, because the same year that Chester Bennington died. That might have been, was that 2017? No, it was 2018, wasn't it? But the same year Chester Bennington died, because I remember it happening right around the same time as Chester passed away, and it really hit me hard because he was literally one of my best friends throughout high school, and I'd always wanted to go in, well, throughout my senior year, because that's when he started there. I'd always wanted to go and play, but a lot of the other people who played in his group, I wasn't really friends with, and it would have kind of made it awkward for me because I would have really only, like, there was a few people there who I was friends with, and then the rest of them were just kind of people who I knew but didn't really like me and I didn't really like. So I didn't really want to go and play in a game that I wouldn't feel very welcomed in, and so I just never played, and it always hit me hard. And then a little bit after that, about a year or so later, another one of my friends passed away who also played in that D&D group, and that was really tough as well because, you know, when you're a teenager / early 20s and two of your friends pass away kind of young, it's not very fun. But Jesse texted me, or Jesse and I were talking. He's like, hey, do you want to go play D&D with some friends of mine? I was like, yeah, sure, let's go. And so we went. We had a really fun time. We played a one shot. I think we were there for maybe 2 or so hours. Probably not even 2 hours, honestly. It was a very short session, but I really, really enjoyed it, and I loved it. And then we just didn't go back to play. It wasn't because of, you know, it wasn't anything to do with, like, us not wanting to. We did. It's just, it was more we didn't have the time to go play. We both were very busy. I had work, Jesse had work, all of them had work, and we were all just very busy. I never really had the time to go and play D&D, and they have since moved out of state, so we could do the online stuff, but I've never really, Jesse and I both don't really have a whole lot of interest in playing D&D online. Not that it's not fun, it's just, it doesn't sound as fun as, you know, sitting around a table with your friends and rolling some dice, having some fun, and basically just having a very fun time playing a game, you know? So if you guys don't remember, a couple weeks ago, I went to Cedar Point with Jesse and some friends of ours, and we had a really good time. We hung out. We had a very good time at Cedar Point. We came home a couple days ago, like about a week maybe. Probably not even. Actually, it was earlier this week, I think. Jesse and I were at Meijer, which is a grocery store in Michigan and a few other states around Michigan. Oh, that was last week. And I noticed that they had a deal. They had a buy one, get one of equal or lesser value for 50% off on board games and stuff, and they had some D&D kits there. They had the starter set, which is the one I'm going to be going through in a little bit, and the essentials kit. And I reached out to my D&D group on Facebook and said, hey, what would you guys recommend I get? Would you recommend I get the starter set or the essentials kit? A lot of them said both, but I did only decide to go for the starter set as... one, I'm a new DM, and two, I'm going to be playing with 2 new players who have never played, and Jesse has not played in a while either, so it's kind of going to be like playing with 3 new players and a very new DM, so it's going to be a very difficult game to actually go through, but I'm very excited for it because I get to actually run the game and play the game my way. I am a very creative person. I love writing. I love doing this sort of stuff, so to kind of get to run my own game and put my own little spin on it is really fun for me. So I'm very excited for that. We don't know when we're going to... If you guys can't tell, I'm still sick. You can hear it in my voice. I'm still getting over a cough, which fucking sucks because it's horrible. So we haven't decided on a day we're going to play it yet because we want to play it when I feel better, first off, and when I can actually do voices and shit like that. Because I'm the type of person who loves doing accents and random silly voices, and I would love to be able to do that for the actual... game. I think that's a great idea of getting to actually act out the world the way I want it to be. So yeah, that is kind of the basis for this. And I probably will do like recap videos of how D&D sessions have gone. I might start a second channel for that. I'm not sure yet. Maybe do spaced out D&D and see how that goes. Because I would love to get into a D&D centric channel. And if I had the talent to draw, I would probably draw our adventures in D&D. I even have some homebrew ideas kicking up for like an entire campaign that's homebrewed rather than doing a module. But for those of you who may be starting D&D for the very first time or getting into it for the very first time, What would I recommend? So for starters, I would recommend the starter set. It comes with all the essentials. It comes with like kind of the basic sort of stuff. So I'll go. So this is what the starter set looks like on the cover. For those of you wondering, by the way, it has a nice big green dragon. I believe that's actually Venom Fang. You'll figure out who that is if you get this. He is a potential encounter that you can get. So for starters, what comes through this? A 64-page adventure book with everything the DM needs to get started. So this is the full adventure. I can't remember what it's called. I have to look when I get in the actual when I open the box. A 32-page rulebook for playing characters level 1 to level 5. This rulebook brings the characters from 1 to 5. That is where they go. That is it. Nothing else. So I'm gonna say right now, if you do this and you want to add in random encounters and random shit that the players can get it up to, maybe don't put in XP for those random encounters. Like, I have one that could potentially lead to a fight, but I'm not going to give them any XP. I'm going to give them treasure rather than XP. I would like to give them XP as well, but I feel like the better option is just give them treasure and not try to fuck up the balance of the game, as it wants you to go from a specific starting level to a specific ending level. Now, granted, I'm only going to have 3 players, so maybe doing XP and getting them to like 6 would be good. The problem is they don't have it set up for 1 to 6. They have it set up for 1 to 5, so I'm kind of stuck. 5 pre-gen characters, each with a character sheet and supporting reference material, which is really nice, and then 6 game dice. So the really fun thing I like about this is that if you're a new player, you don't have to create your own character. I think that was one of the more daunting things for me when Jesse and I first played. We used the online character creation stuff, but still, it was so daunting to me to have to play as a new character and create my own character. Even though I'm very good at that, because I've played a lot of, RPG games in my time where I get to create my own character. So I was kind of familiar with that already from like Oblivion and Skyrim and Fallout and games like that. So it was very easy for me to actually kind of get used to that. Jesse, who doesn't play that many types of those games, had about actually the same amount of difficulty I did. He actually made it through pretty quick. For somebody who's mostly played the Fallout games, he did really well with creating his character, and we both created very good characters. I don't remember what mine was. I think I was a half-orc. Was I a barbarian? I can't remember. I'm pretty sure I was a half-orc. I'd have to go back to my account for it and actually see what I was specifically. But Jesse was a bard. Jesse loves being a bard. It was his favorite character, and his fucking instrument was bagpipes, which makes me very happy that there is not, in fact, a bard character in the pre-gen set. It kind of sucks, because I think it'd be really fun, but I also think that a bard is a difficult character to play if you don't know what you're doing. So I think they kind of have this set up for somebody who maybe hasn't played it before. But I might let Jesse multi-class into a bard, or maybe have his guy have some bard-like things if he chooses the right character. But yeah, so that's what this comes with. It's very easy, and then obviously you can expand adventure with the 5th edition Player's Handbook, the Dungeon Master Guide, and the Monster Manual. There's also a secondary, like I said, the Essentials Kit, which is a secondary module to this module. It picks up in the exact same land. I don't know exactly how far after this one, but you get to see what your characters in this one, how it changed, what happened to the world, and how that world has changed in the Essentials Kit storyline. And you get to create your own characters in that one, which is really cool. So you get to kind of have a little bit of difference, which I really like. So we are going to open this up so I can kind of show you guys everything that comes into it. So you get standard dice. You get a standard 10-sided die, which has the 0 acting as 10. You get the standard meme-ified 20-sided die that D&D is very well known for. I think this is my 3rd 20-sided die I have now, because I have 2 from Loot Crate unboxings that are somewhere in this mess of shit. But yeah, I got 2 different 20-sided die from Loot Crate, which was really cool. I also got the D&D Ice Mold, which is a 20-sided die, which is really cool. But yeah, these are actually really nice dice. They kind of shine. They're a little shimmery. They have kind of a glittery sort of look to them, which I really like. Then you have a standard 4-sided pyramid die, which are a pain in the ass. I don't like rolling these. I hate it. I fucking hate it. But in certain encounters, a 4-sided die is kind of nice. Then we have the standard 8-sided die, which is kind of a diamond sort of shape. I really like the way the 8-sided die looks. I don't know why. It's such a nice sort of design to me for some reason. It takes what the four-sided die does and makes it look good. Like, I don't like the way the four-sided die looks. I understand why they have it in a pyramid shape, but like, still, I just don't like the way it looks. You have your standard six-sided die, which is, the standard six-sided die you'd get in any fucking sort of dice set. And then you have a standard 12-sided die, which, yeah, this is all basic stuff. These are the shiny click-clack math rocks that you use for rolls. I got a 13 and a 3, so I just decided to randomly roll them. Then you have the starter set rule book, which goes through all the basic rules and everything for D&D, which is really nice. It teaches you how to play, how to go through combat, how to go through adventuring, and how to do spellcasting. This also talks about your abilities, your combat, your movements and positioning, actions in combat, making an attack, cover, damage, healing, travel, resting, rewards, equipment, spells, what are spells, casting spells, spells lists, and spells in general. And then there's an appendix, which is just conditions, which is on the back. So you can kind of go through all the different conditions that you can get, like paralyzed and stuff like that. Then we have the actual adventure book called The Lost Mine of Phandelver, which is actually a really cool book so far from what I've read of it. I'm not trying to spoil too much for myself, and obviously I can't tell Jesse or anything like that, or talk. I have said I might talk over some things with him, but I'm going to try not to spoil as much as I can. And I really love this book so far from what I've read, and the coolest thing is it's D&D, so you don't have to follow this to a T. I will say this, if you're not very good at thinking on the fly, if you're not very good at figuring out your own stuff and thinking up your own stuff, follow the book to a T. If that's how you want to play D&D, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no right or wrong way to play D&D. I'm personally putting in homebrewed stuff for my campaign because I enjoy the idea of the world being shaped to my liking, to my players' liking, to be something more than just what the module gives me. And I like the idea of taking aspects of what the game already gives and changing them up. Like, for instance, early on in the game, if I can find the fucking page that I wrote it on. Early on in the game, you go to a location called Cragmaw Cave. Inside the hideout, there is a kennel in one of the areas with 3 wolves inside of it. You have the option to calm these wolves and or fight them if things go wrong, but I decided that I wanted to change this up a little bit and tweak it a little bit because I like the idea of changing my world. So I not only did I give each of the 3 wolves their own description, because they do not have a description in the book as far as I can tell, which doesn't bother me actually. I like the idea of getting to design these wolves myself and kind of go into it and say, this is what this wolf looks like, this is what this wolf looks like, this is what this wolf looks like, this is this one's sort of description, this is what its good trait is, this is what its bad trait is. And I still have to do things like figure out HP and stuff like that, and I'm gonna do the roll for HP and attack damage and all that sort of shit at some point. But for now, I just want to kind of get the basics of each thing done because I have time to do this until I'm ready to run this. And yeah, so like for instance, one of them is a small wolf. It's very strong, but it's also very skittish, meaning, and this is the way I have it looking, any fight with a creature that has more HP than it, more hit points, it runs off until that creature is at or below the same hit points that the wolf has. If it starts against a creature or an encounter where there's something that has the same amount of hit points as it, so like if they face a goblin that has the same hit points as this wolf, then the wolf will stay. But there's also still a chance that if something happens, like, an ambush happens, a goblin ambush or something happens, this wolf will then run away because it's outnumbered. It has less hit points than the total of the enemy. Then there's another one which is a little bit older. It's larger than the other two, and it's very strong, and it, if you're small enough, because there's a halfling in this story, if it's small enough, it could be ridden by somebody to save them on their movements. However, it's ill-tempered, which means it has the chance of attacking you. I'm not kidding. I'm actually going to sit there and roll a d20 at random times and tell them the wolf tries to attack. What's going to happen is, since I have 3 players, I'm going to roll a 3-sided die, or a 6-sided die. If it's 1 or 5, or sorry, 1 or 4, it'll be one character. If it's 2 or 5, it will be another, and if it's 3 or 6, it will be the other one. I'm going to roll that, figure out, okay, it's attacking such and such person. It got a 15. Look at my notes. It tries to attack you, and then have them try to counterattack / calm it, and see how their charisma for animal handling rolls. And basically that's how it's going to constantly go. And the reason I like the idea is because instead of having the wolf be an automatic bonus to the party, it has some sort of drawback. And finally, the last wolf is very strong, or it's kind of a weak one. It's easygoing, so it would be the easier one to tame. Oh, no, wait, sorry, this is the ill-tempered one. Sorry, this one's ill-tempered, but would be easier to tame. But it's weaker than all the other ones, but it doesn't run from a fight, meaning it's a very courageous wolf, so no matter what, it's going to stay in the fight. However, it won't really do a whole lot. And then if the players decide to search around the area of the kennel, they will find a journal that has some notes taken in. I don't know how I'm going to do it yet. I said an insight check of 13 plus to find it. So if my player rolls, so let's say Jesse's rolling for his character, and he gets a 19... You find a journal lying on the ground, you open it, and this is what it says, and then I will kind of list off sort of what it talks about for each of the different wolves and stuff like that, so they can kind of get an idea. However, if they decide not to look around, then yeah, they can just choose a wolf based off random fact. I will describe the wolf very shortly, very briefly to them, and give the briefer description, and then they can decide off that. And that's their choice. I 100% am giving them as much choice in this as they want. I want them to make this their own, which means they get the choice in which wolf. And then I'm probably going to set something up for each wolf where you can start, getting them to lose one of their bad trait and replace it with a good trait. I don't know for sure how I'm going to do this yet. I haven't fully decided, but that's kind of the basic thing for the wolves in the kennel. Because, again, I wanted to homebrew this myself. And I will say this, if you're about to DM for your first time, I highly suggest going to Geek and Sundry, which is where Critical Role kind of started, and there is a entire playlist called GM Tips by Matt Mercer, as well as I think other GMs. I just haven't gotten to the point of them talking. It's mostly been Matt, and it helps. It's so far helped me immensely because I've gotten to kind of find out so much stuff about it, which has been really fun for me. And again, like I said, I do have it set up for each of this, so if a PC wants to try and calm the wolves with animal handling, they need a 15 to 20 to calm it. So if you get 15 to 20 on your roll, you calm the wolves down. If you get an 18 or higher, you have the chance. That's when you get the chance to tame one of the wolves. And if you get anything under 15, the wolves will attack with advantage over the player characters because they failed to do the calm thing, so they have the advantage. They don't really have surprise because you kind of expect that to happen, and then I'll have to roll to see if they end up breaking out of their chains or not. If they don't, then the players have advantage. And again, I can actually talk about this. If Wolf 1 is chosen, it will run off against larger opponents, but will come back when its HP drops to below or half of the Wolf's. If Wolf 2 is chosen, it will at random times try and attack the party members. If the roll is between 1 and 14, the attack fails. If it's 15 plus, then the chosen party member needs to try and dodge, which I will give them a, I think it's a dexterity save is what I'd need to do. I believe. I'll have to look through that, but I'm pretty sure dexterity save would be the dodge. And if Wolf 3 is chosen, it will always stay no matter the fight. However, with it being the weakest of the three, it won't contribute a whole lot. And again, that can be worked up and make it better in the long run. Then there is an area in the Red Brand hideout. It's area 2. It's like a sleeping quarters. There are 3 Red Band guards sitting there. So if the guards are woken up, they come out quietly with short swords drawn, ready to attack. They have the advantage. They have surprise over the players. If the guards are not awoken, a chance at stealth kill on all 3 of them while sleeping will be possible. For each player, a 1 to 5 is a fail and they wake up all 3. A 6 to 10 is a fail and wake up 2. 11 to 15 is a fail and wake up 1. And 16 to 20 is kill the first guard successfully. I'm not going to have, if you roll this, you kill all 3 guards immediately. No, you kill one of them successfully. If guard 1 is killed, then 1 to 5 wakes both guards, 6 to 10 wakes 1, 11 to 15 is just a normal fail, you don't wake them up, and 16 to 20 kills the next guard. And if guard 2 is killed, 1 to 5 wakes the final guard. 6 to 15 is just a generic fail, and 16 to 20 successfully kills the final guard. Then, like I said, on the cover, there is this green dragon. This is Venom Fang. Venom Fang is a random encounter that you can get in a tower in a ruined village. This is about the last spot I've actually gotten worked up for what I want to do with my homebrewed stuff, so I kind of wanted to run through this with you guys, because I thought it'd be fun. So if players come across Venom Fang and win the encounter, which if you want to win this encounter, you need to drop Venom Fang to half health for him to fly away. It's a very difficult fight, so having him to half is insane, because he has 136 hit points. He flies away. Whoever takes the axe, there's an axe under his treasure, feels uneasy in forest, which is actually from the game. That's from the actual module itself, that because it was used to fell trees, to chop down trees, then you feel uneasy when you walk through a forest. So when walking through, occasionally there's a random chance of a forest creature coming out and attacking. I've changed that a little bit, so I'll get to it. A 1 to a 10 is an attack of a random creature decided later, and 11 to 20 is safe passage. So if I roll a 1 to 10, it means that the creature comes out, and if I roll an 11 to 20, then the creature does not come out and they can continue on. Then there will also be a random chance of Venom Fang showing up at 50% health to continue the fight with the party. When it happens, they can run off, or they can fight it and try to kill him and get the fucking bounty of XP that he'll give them. So when I roll a 1 to 10 on the fort while walking through a forest, a spirit of the forest will come out, which I will have named later and have kind of voice set up for and everything. They will talk with the players about the axe. They will explain that this was a dwarven axe used for chopping down trees, and that it should not be in forests because it does not belong there because of what they were doing to the forests, what the dwarves were doing to the forest with this axe. They'll offer treasure for it, so it can be destroyed if that is passed on. So if the players decide, nah, we don't want this, it may lead to a fight. I'll have them do kind of a persuasion sort of check, and obviously I'll figure out the numbers on that. But if they persuade the forest creature or the forest spirit to just leave, the forest spirit will leave and potentially come back another day to offer a bigger treasure or potentially fight because they decide not to give away the axe. They can try to convince the spirit otherwise. If they win the fight, they can discover a map to the promised treasure, and the treasure I have detailed below. It'll be 9 copper pieces. I actually might change this so I can actually roll out stats and figure everything out. It'll be 9 copper pieces, so 3 per person, 2 rubies and an emerald. So that way they can split that among themselves. It's decent treasure. Some gems are kind of nice. As well as 20 arrows, because normally a stack of arrows in this game is 20, especially in this specific module. It is listed as 20 arrows or 20 crossbow bolts. A single piece of scale mail armor to be determined later, which is a medium armor set. For those of you wondering how did I figure this out, basically I just kind of went like this and rolled the die, figured out. So basically, to figure out how I did the scale mail, I just kind of did like random, chose the different numbers for how many types of armor there was, and then rolled another one to get the number for that. For the copper pieces, I rolled the number for the different types of currency in the game, and then that was that. I just decided 9 randomly because it was a variant of 3 and it fit. There will be a dagger and then a hand crossbow. Those are the 3 weapon/armor things that are found in there. I didn't actually want 1 melee and 1 long range, but I kind of just went for it. Actually, it might make more sense to have 20 crossbow bolts, actually, now that I think about it, since there's a hand crossbow in there. But I'm going to go with this. The party can choose to keep these weapons. They can choose to sell them. It's up to them. They can choose to keep the scale mail. If none of the players are a fighter that wears scale mail, they can sell it. Because as far as I know, I don't even think a character in here has medium armor as a thing for them. I have to look now really quick because I don't fucking remember. Okay, this one has proficiencies in light armor. Okay, this one has proficiencies in all armor. Proficiency in all armor. Proficiency in all armor. And this one has proficiencies in no armor because it's a fucking wizard. So most of them have proficiencies in all armor. So basically, all but 2 characters, depending on what they choose. So could potentially be all 3 characters could have proficiencies in medium armor. So this is a good idea. I highly suggest if you guys want to go check it out, go watch Matt Mercer's GMing tips because it does really help, and so far it's helped me immensely to build my own world and to figure things out. I also reached out to Puffin Forest as well as his buddy Michael, who DM'd their Curse of Strahd game, which is actually what's got me into wanting to DM more. And I asked them, I reached out and I said, hey, I'm a first-time DM. Any tips you guys can give me? And Michael's biggest tip was level 1s are squishy and always try to make the world as fun as possible. You know what I mean? Add in your own stuff. I know he homebrewed a lot from the Curse of Strahd recap videos. I know he said he did end up homebrewing a lot of things to change up how he wanted everything to be in his world and change up some of the storyline bits because, yeah, that's just how it is. And then, like I said, this has a follow-up storyline in the Essentials kit, which, if this one goes good, I will 100% do the Essentials kit as well. And have that be the next thing that we do. And then after that, probably a homebrewed campaign and work on that and figure that one out. And I have so many things that I want to do for this. So I'm very excited. And like I said, I think we will do a recap video once the campaign has been run and finished. I don't know how many sessions this is going to take. I am going to be taking notes frivolously both before the campaign so I can get my ideas all thought out. This is what this notebook is for. This one is literally just for me to figure out everything I want to do for the campaign, and then I'm probably going to have a separate one for taking notes during the campaign. And this one will kind of be like, okay, this is this person's voice, this is this person's voice, this is an NPC I'm adding in, and this is their voice, you know what I mean? That sort of thing. So I can figure out what I want to do for each character and kind of decide what they're going to be. Again, if you are a new-time player, if you're a first-time player or a first-time GM, I highly suggest the starter set. It's really good. I, so far, really enjoyed everything. It's helping me figure the game out a lot better because, again, like I said, I'm about to be a first-time GM. I'm fucking terrified. I'm also very excited though because I've been wanting to get back into D&D for so long since the first time I played, and I'm very excited to run this set. Not only because I get to run it with my friends, but also because I get to build the world myself and figure out the way I want the world to be. I do want to do a homebrewed campaign at some point, and when I do that, I really hope I can get somebody to animate it. That'd be really cool to have my own story animated by somebody as we're doing this. And I will take frivolous fucking notes during the entire thing. Get somebody to animate it if I can find somebody to, because I would love to do animated D&D stories on YouTube. That'd be very fun. So again, I highly suggest, if you guys haven't, go check out Critical Role. Go check out Geek and Sundry so you can see Matt Mercer's GM tips. Go check out Puffin Forest. He's fantastic. I really, really enjoy his stuff. And if you haven't, go ahead, subscribe, drop a like on the video, comment if you want. Tell me if you guys have any interesting ideas. If you've played through the starter set, tell me if you had any interesting ideas that you did while you played through it, if you homebrewed your own stuff. And all in all, tell me if you guys had fun going through it, because that's what I'm most nervous about, is not giving my friends a fun experience through the game. So if you guys enjoyed this video, I'll see you next time. Stay golden. Peace.